Hey, what's going on, guys? Klutch here, and in this video, we're doing a map tour of a 4X farming simulator map, Middleburgh, New York, by the one, the only Nitro Dad. This is a PC-only map, of course. We'll make sure we have links down in the description so you can download this map and get it for yourself. But this is the first map for Farming Simulator 22, done by Nitro Dad Modding. He's done other maps, obviously for Farm Sim 19, including Georgetown, we've got Hazard County, and Susquehanna River Valley. And just like those before this, it really does set the bar very high as far as maps go for Farming Simulator. A lot of new ideas brought into this map and some interesting new concepts, and still the high level of detail and quality that Nitro Dad always brings to his maps is found here on Middleburgh. Now, the map itself is roughly based or inspired by Middleburgh, New York, the actual physical area, as you can see here on the Google map. Let's just switch over to the PDA and look at this. You can see that, well, it looks somewhat similar. Very similar, in fact, the way this is all laid out. Now, like I said, it's inspired by, it's not a one-to-one creation or anything along those lines, but it gives you an idea what it's based on, and it's built along the same areas. Now, in the map, you're going to find 126 different fields, and pretty much all the base stuff you come to expect in Farming Simulator 22 for crops and productions. Now, for those that are reading ahead and see down the far right-hand side there of all the other stuff, of course, this is a Nitro Dad map, so you're going to find a whole bunch more things that are listed on here. We'll get into that. But let's first start talking about the farmlands. Now, the farmlands themselves are all, well, relatively medium-sized. There's nothing that's overly large, nothing that's overly small. The farmlands are actually very similar in size all the way around the map. Now, the farms themselves, just note, there's 5 of them on the map. We'll take a closer look at each one of them, the pre-built farms, before we leave, but we have one that's up on the top. That's the starter farm right here, and it's kind of a survival style farm located up in the hills. We'll look closely at that one later on. Number 2 is just down in the valley a little bit further. Number 3 is across the river. Number 4 here is up on top of a bench, and this is actually a winery. And number 5 is up on the very northern section past town. You're gonna find the main town section with all of our different businesses located kind of centrally. And then there's the dealership area industrial district just off to the side. Also note there's a campground up on the top. Be careful in the campground at night. Seriously, just be careful. But other than that, of course, there's some more productions down to the south, and our animal dealer is down to the south as well. So that's kind of the gist of the map. Let's kind of go around and take a look at some of these farms a little more in depth. Now, I said our starter farm is the survival farm, to be honest with you. And as you can see, this is the road that enters it, and private road, no trespassing, and it's not like it's just a quick little jaunt up here. It's a ways. Go. Yeah, it's a ways up here, guys. So, like I said, survival makes sense. There we go. Now, once you reach the top to this secluded number 1 farm, this starter farm, you're gonna find 8 fields kind of tucked away, hidden up in the hills here that, well, kind of you only have access to be honest. They're way up here in the middle of nowhere. And on top of that, of course, your main farm is up here, and it is more of a survival style farm. You've got your farmhouse, you've got some sheds. Of course, you do have some animals here. There's some pre-built cattle areas, as well as a silo. As well, you have access to your own secretive little production area that, yeah, you're going to want to come take a look at for sure. And yes, of course, it's enterable. And like every Nitro Dad map, guys, you're going to find custom-built buildings, even for your animals, of course, here. Your custom-built shops there for your animal, your cattle. Of course, we got some barbed wire fences again. I've made a return from Farming Simulator 19 on Susquehanna River Valley have been added back in, which is always interesting. And much like the buildings, all your pastures are going to be custom built as well. So none of these tiny little pastures, you're going to have large pastures for all your livestock, so they can meander and wander around your fields. And since we're currently on the starter farm, just note that the file you download will be a zipped folder. You'll need to unzip it and take out all of the contents and install it into your mod folder, and make sure you have all the correct equipment to start off. For example, well, we have a John Deere 7700 sitting back there. That's not base game, of course. Same with the headers. So make sure you unzip that folder and get all the files into your mod folder. Otherwise, you're going to be sleeping in the doghouse. Yep, that's what that is. Farm 2 is a much larger complex, as you can see here. It's right down on the highway below the original farm, the survival farm, but very clean, very crisp lines. And it's kind of focused around, well, the greenhouses, as well as this olive area right here, this olive farm. So you've got, those are the main farms, but you have a lot of other options here, of course. Once again, a bunch more custom buildings, some of which that look somewhat familiar and others that are completely new. In fact, this one here specifically, it's auto openable. You just drive up to that door and you can open the door as you drive in, which is kind of cool. I haven't seen anyone do that before. But yeah, another customized building here for, that's Olive Productions, by the way. That makes your olive oil and stuff inside there. Farm 3 is across the river and kind of built up on a bench on top of the road here. Just takes up the corner lands up here with some fields that surround it. A bunch of more animal husbandry stuff that are located all around. Of course, you're getting lots of sheds, enterable sheds, of course. And as well, the animal areas are very unique on this particular farm as it kind of rises up the side of the hillside here. And then you've got this whole little cove where the animals can kind of go up and down and through this whole hillside up here. Fields kind of go all the way up on top. If you go all the way through this roadway and up to the top, you're going to find some more fields up on the top here that are very kind of isolated and secluded up on top here. Now, as we leave that farm and head for field farm 4, we got to raise up on top of another, it's a little bit of a secluded area, a little hidden area if you're going from that direction. And there's a whole region up on top here that's kind of hidden away, but it's huge. It's massive. I mean, there's a whole farm up on top here with a bunch of fields that are, well, isolated to itself. But the big thing about this one, guys, is there's a pre-built winery up here. I mean, look at all the grapes. These are all vines, guys. These are all vines ready to go for your winemaking and whatever else you may want to do, your grape juice. Yes, if we kind of scroll back on top, you're going to find out this is the Red Barn Cellars Winery and Guest Farm. So it has a whole access to a whole farm that's on the backside here. And then you have your winery that's kind of on the hillside here as well. And it includes all of this stuff up here. So lots of fields plus a massive winery area. Kind of a unique farm. I don't think I've seen anyone quite do this. Once again, unique buildings and lots of access, everything you can get into. So as we leave the winery and head down to Farm 5, I should show you the access road to get up here, which is kind of unique as well. Like I said, everything's kind of isolated up here by this one main road. You do have the main access right here, and then this road, well, it just takes you down and below. You got to follow the valley to get all the way up and down it. It's the only access up to this region. By the way, any thoughts on the amount of trees we have on this map? Once again, look at the amount of trees. For loggers, there are productions, of course, for you. We'll look more at that in a bit, but there's just so many. There's so many trees everywhere. And then as we go north of town, we're into Farm 5, which, like I said, is just north of Middleburgh, which is right there. Here is our main farm for Farm 5. It has all sorts of fields that surround it. There's no productions based out of this farm. It's more your livestock for the most part. All this hillside, you can see we have, well, your cattle area. You've got a pigsty right there. I believe sheep on the far side as well. So it's all animals. There's chickens back right at the main house here. And the farm itself just has a bunch of storage with farm lands that kind of surround it. So that's Farm 5, your silos on the far side there, more silos along this one edge, and the rest of it you can kind of do what you want with. Now, there's nothing I would say that's just a wide open area that you could build your own farm in that's designed specifically for that, but there's lots of areas. For instance, this hillside here is another cattle area. Cattle or sheep, I can't remember. And then as well over here, we have another whole animal area that's not associated with any farm. So there's a couple of these that are located on the one roadway as well that you could potentially do something else with if you didn't want to count those, but they're not really considered to be a separate farm. That being said, their proximity to Farm 2 is fairly close. You can see Farm 2 just in the distance there, and all of these livestock areas are fairly close by, so you could probably join those if you wanted to as well. Now, we need to look at some of the buy stations, some of the sell points. There's a lot to look at, guys. I'm not going to be able to get to it all in this short walk through, this short tour of this map. However, let's start off with some of the highlights. Once again, the auction house, the animal auction house, is something that's been done a little bit differently, to be honest. Of course, you can buy all your animals here. There is an auction house that's going on inside at all times, but the animals that are in the field don't belong to anyone, and they're all animated. They're all animated animals that are throughout these fields, so they're actually out there doing stuff instead of just being static, which is amazing to see, to be honest with you. From your sheep, your pigs, your cattle, whatever you're looking for, you happen to drive by this road, you're going to see all your animals out walking around. These ones are all going to auction. That's fantastic. I love seeing that. That's a great detail. I think this guy might have gotten out. Huh. Bit of a problem. Just up the road, you have Martin's Amish Furniture, which specializes in, well, all sorts of weird things you can actually do for productions. We'll look at the the market a little bit later on, but there's some interesting things in there. And conveniently next door to the Amish workshop, there is, well, our lumber mill. So that's awfully convenient to have right next door. So as we get closer to town, like I said, there's two kind of sections. This here is the industrial side, almost more so. It's where your store is and where there's a couple of other buildings, I guess some sell points and such. The main town is further off in the distance. This one here is just kind of like up against the river and between the roads. So we're going to go by our main dealership, of course. And this one's interesting as well, because once again, fully enterable buildings, which is always nice to see. You can go inside and look around. There is a little bit of space here if you want to add some more productions. This is a great spot to do it. And those who've played Susquehanna River Valley will remember Fox Farms once again makes its return here. Drive-through bays for loading all your bulk goods. So just north of that little industrial district, you're going to find the main city or town of Middleburgh, and it's fairly extensive, very similar in size and scope to Georgetown for those that have played that map before. But you're going to find a ton of sell points. You're going to find a ton of little secrets and hidden nooks and fun little Easter eggs throughout this area, guys. It's centered around this ball field here. But that's just the start of it all. There's a sell point right at the ball field. There's sell points pretty much everywhere throughout here. Almost every building seems to have some kind of a sell point or a production option to it. Now, I should mention, productions work very similar to base Farm Sim 22, all the maps in base Farm Sim. If you just want to use it as a sell point, you can. If you buy it, then you have to use it as a buy point or as a production, basically. So just be aware of that. Most of them work that way, but there's a ton of different sell points and buy points all throughout here. Various different things. We'll take a look at the map here and look through some of them because there's an absolute ton of them and some of them that are a little bit different. So that is our main town. Like I said, just to the north, this here's Farm 5, and then across the river, you're going to find there is a grain sell point plus a BGA up here. So BGA is on the map as well. It's on the very northern edge of the map, and then there's a grain sell point as well. Now, as far as the main town goes, literally sell points everywhere you can think. Some oil sell points. The brewery sell point right there. You might check that one out. There's some interesting Easter eggs there. The spinnery, of course. You've got some fuel stations. You've got one of them's propane right here. We've got a propane sell point. So there's a ton of different things you can buy and sell and over this whole town, from all your productions to just normal sell points. So you definitely want to go look around. Now, as far as your actual productions and your grains that are available on the map, like I said, all your base stuff is going to be there. Of course, you've got sugar beet cuts as well. And then we scroll down a little bit further, you're going to see all your productions, which look fairly normal until we get closer to the bottom, of course. And then all of a sudden, we're going to start getting some interesting things. Well, we start off with the pulp. We got lime water. We got donuts, bagels, hot dogs, some soda waters. We got the wine, corn syrup, potato chips, French fries, the dog houses over that we were talking about earlier. We got some corn whiskey, beer, anhydrous, and propane. So like I said, there's quite a few extra little add-ons built right into this map. And of course, we'd go through all the stations, but they vary pretty significant depending on exactly what you're trying to sell. Even between just your normal stuff, your wheat, barley, and oats, they tend to vary a little bit. So you're not always going to want to be able to or want to sell to the same spot. Just be aware of that. Now, the map itself, like I said, does have a number of Easter eggs you're going to want to keep your eyes out for, and just some cool little things to go look at. I always like checking out the ball fields on every map, but this one here, just, I don't know, he's got it done right. There's a special sell point for you built right at the back here, of course, as well. And of course, a lot of the buildings are animated to some degree, and many of which, well, you can go in and snoop around inside as well. I always appreciate when you can do that. Now, while the river valley itself is kind of peaceful and the map is based around this and just kind of surrounding it, and it does make what the map is focused on for the most part. This river is the map. It's what the map is built around. It is also kind of the enemy almost. It can be the thing you're going to fight with. I know I'm being somewhat cryptic right now. This is something I don't think I've seen before in Farming Simulator, and there's no way for me to talk about it without just showing it to you guys. So, I think, can someone summon Zeus for me, please? There we go. There comes the rain. That's right. The river valley floods when it rains. It will cause you, well, a little bit of trouble. Now, don't be afraid. It's not going to destroy your crops or anything along those lines. Everything's fine there. It is purely visual. However, I kind of wish it wasn't. Part of me wishes it wasn't, but it does flood, and your whole river valley can flood during times of rainstorms like we're in right now. There are also some other interesting things that have been added in with this. Well, for example, it looks nice and serene. Yeah, not so much. All of a sudden that changes things a little bit, doesn't it? Incredible. I love this added animation just when things start flooding. Yeah, so there's some interesting additions, a lot of Easter eggs to check out on this map as far as just various signs and areas you can go look at. Definitely take your time and explore this map when you have a chance, because there's a lot to do and a lot to look at. Great multiplayer map, really built for that, to be perfectly honest. If you're into logging, I'm sure someone could find something to do with logging. Once again, it is a 4X map. However, it does feel a little bit smaller than that, based because of all the trees that surround the valley. The farmlands are a little bit smaller than that. So, like I said, a great map for multiplayer where you don't necessarily have huge, massive fields to work, and you're more focused on the smaller stuff. So, folks, that there is a Middleburgh, New York, once again done by Nitro Dad. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick map tour. We're going to be doing some more stuff on this 100%, so make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel for that, because we're going to be really diving into this map and seeing what we can do with it. Once again, another fantastic map, one of my favorite map makers for sure, and a map I've been extremely excited to show you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed as much as I have just messing around with it now, and get out there and give it a shot. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Slap the like if you did. Of course, don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here, and stay tuned for more map reviews and news videos for Farming Simulator 22. On that, folks, have a great day, and I'll catch you guys next time. This is Klutch, over and out.